All right, it's your boy B News. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It live from Korea. We got a special guest, a very special guest. This is my sister, blood sister. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself real quick.
Yes. Blood sister, Siobhan Jones. I am his sister. I'm a therapist. I am an entrepreneur. I do so many things. Like I don't even know. I do a lot of things. But work-wise, I'm a therapist. But I mean, what y'all want to know?
I ain't gonna lie. Like when I be in Korea and like when I be talking about you, I be bragging. I be like, my sister got like 10 degrees. She do this, she do that. Yeah, my sister. I be bragging. I don't be telling you, but I be bragging.
Listen, I feel like you know how to be like, husband, you got all these jobs.
Right.
Like I got all these jobs, all these degrees. But no, it's been good though. I mean, all the degrees and all the all the jobs have led me here. I mean, I quit my job last year, and so I was able to open up my own business full time and run my practice. So yeah, life's been good.
How was that process like because people can't just wake up and quit their job. That's like a process and you got to be willing to do that sacrifice, right?
Man, so I always joke and tell people, an overnight success really takes 10 years because it for real took me 10 years to be able to get here. Like
wow.
I graduated from grad school in 2011 with my master's in social work. And from there, like I always knew that I wanted to have my own business, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for sure.
Okay.
And so kind of going through the motions, I worked for the state for 10 years, but worked in different agencies. And every time you could ask anybody I've worked with in the state, I would always be like, I'm gonna leave here one day and I'm gonna have my own business. So that was always my thing. Like, I'm not gonna be here long. I'm granted I was there for 10 years, but
was it actually 10 years? Wow.
It was 10 years but I moved over. So I was with the Department of Family and Children Services, which is in child welfare. I was there for 6 years and I was the case manager and supervisor. Then I was over that and I left there and went to the GBI. So the GBI is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, which is the local state level equivalent to like the federal level of the FBI.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I worked there and I worked in the child fatality review unit. So I reviewed the child deaths in the state of Georgia and then figured out how to keep kids from dying, really. So figured out after kids died, I would review how they died, what happened, and then come up with like policies and strategies and programs and all of these things, trainings to help prevent other kids from dying the same way. And so then I did that for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did that for 2 years. And then I was ready to go. I was like, oh, I'm not going to stay here. And so I left there and went to the Department of Behavioral Health and was there for 2 years. And I took my license exam in 2020, December of 2020.
Okay.
Passed it. And then I was like, bet. All I needed was that license and stayed with the state until November of 2021 and left after that.
Congrats. So it actually took 10 years. Wow.
It took 10 years to get here. In 10 years, it wasn't even a straight journey. Like I was doing everything, y'all. I thought I wanted to have a fashion boutique, so I was selling purses.
Okay.
I had like this coaching program, which isn't bad, but I mean, I had a mentoring program. I was mentoring teen girls. I was doing everything.
Trying to figure out what sticks, right? What was the best? Yeah. Okay.
And trying to figure out like what I wanted to do. If I'm honest, like I was really running from like mental health stuff. Like I didn't really want to do it because it wasn't clicking. And if I'm even more honest, the money wasn't clicking how I wanted it to click.
Right.
I was like, what? I'm not doing that. and I kind of put it on the back burner. But you know, when you got a purpose and something that you're supposed to be doing, it kind of chases you down.
Right.
And here I am.
Okay. Okay. So that was a good, intro. Talk that, pretend. So what I want to talk to you about is what I want to start off. How important is it to take care of your mental health?
Oh gosh, man. Taking care of your mental health is like essential. It's survival. It's really life or death. Because if you don't take care of your mind and, giving yourself all of the things you need, like mental health, when I think of mental health, I think of your overall wellness, right?
Hmm.
So you have to take care of your physical, your mental, your spiritual, all of these aspects of your life that feed into your mental health. Like when people come into therapy, we don't just talk about we don't just talk about one thing. We talk about all the aspects of your life because you're a whole person. And so trying to neglect that, or when you neglect certain parts of your overall wellness, it shows. Think about a time when you weren't doing well. You started maybe not doing the things you needed to physically, not really, working out or getting the
Hmm.
right kind of sleep, not eating right. All of those things feed into how you feel mentally. And if you don't take care of your mind, it'll start rebelling on you.
It's crazy that you say that, like talking about the not eating and not working out, because there was like a time in my life that like I never really thought depression was real. When I heard people talk about depression, I was like, nah, that's not real. And then I actually went through it myself with a
Mm,
matter of fact, I was home at that time and I had a big breakup with a female that I was dating for 2 years. And
yeah.
it happened while I was home with y'all, but I couldn't let y'all know, because I didn't want y'all to worry about me. But when I got back to Korea, that's when like it all like hit the fan. As guys, like I feel like we don't want to seem weak. We don't want to open up. But
Yeah.
during that time, like I shut everybody out. I was barely eating. The only thing I was doing was working and going to the gym, but I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to do anything. It really shut me down and it had me like thinking really crazy. And then
Mhm.
after that, I'm like, wow, depression, it's a real thing.
No, it's depression is so real and nobody's exempt. Like
Hmm.
nobody's exempt from it and you can feel it and experience it differently than everybody, than other people. Like
Hmm.
everybody doesn't experience it the same. You have some people who mask it so well, like they show up. Like when I was depressed when I had my daughter. And so but nobody knew it because I showed up.
Hmm.
Like smiling, going to work, going to school, doing all the things. Like
Right.
no one ever knew that I was depressed. And then, but I would come home at night and I'd just be crying, like just
Mm.
devastated, just crying. And I think that a lot of people end up like masking it because they don't want to seem weak. They don't want to seem like a burden. They don't want nobody to worry.
Right.
And it just kind of eats at you. And I'm always telling people, a lot of people, more people go through depression than we really think, than you actually think. Like
Hmm.
a lot of people feel those things. And I'm not talking necessarily like clinical depression, because there's a lot of things that go into being diagnosed with depression,
Mm.
but we sometimes go through what I call situational depression.
Okay.
There's something that hits our life and it just kind of knocks us off. And the normal ways that we know to cope with everyday life aren't strong enough for us to deal with that particular situation. So we start falling apart. The go-to thing that we typically do when we're feeling down and depressed is to isolate. So we start
Mm.
isolating ourselves. We start shutting ourselves off from other people. We're not eating right. We're not sleeping. Sometimes our anxiety goes up because we start having all of these feelings. And when you talk about, having these crazy thoughts, like suicide is real. And a lot of
Hmm.
people don't even realize how real it is until you hit that moment. And not
Hmm.
necessarily, I think that, when we talk about suicide, it's always a touchy subject because people obviously don't like to talk about it.
Right.
But I think a lot of people have those thoughts more than they like to admit. And
Hmm.
it's not necessarily that they want to kill themselves or they want to die. It's sometimes you just want the pain to go away. You just
Hmm.
want the emotional turmoil to go away. And I think we need to normalize that a little bit more, people to be able to express that more, and for people to feel comfortable saying that I'm having these thoughts. I'm not trying to kill myself, but I don't know what to do.
What about like if it's like you said, they're not trying to kill themselves, but at the same time they want like the attention or someone to reach out to them and comfort them at the same time.
Yeah, and I think, and I want to, make the clarification that, a lot of times will say that, oh, they're just doing that for attention. And I think that when we say that someone's doing something for attention, okay, well, let's dig a little bit deeper. If they're doing it for attention, give them the attention. Like,
Right.
crying out for something. And sometimes people don't know exactly how to say it. So if
Hmm.
I'm saying, I see that a lot with kids. So when you're talking to parents and they're like, oh, they do it all the time. They're doing that for attention. Okay, well, why are they craving attention? Like, what is it that they need that they don't have? And
Mm.
why is it such a void to give them that attention? Talk to them.
Right.
Spend some time with them, figure it out of what's going on. Because I'd rather give you the attention that you want than for it to be the alternative. And I think that people also have to get a little bit more comfortable asking for help. Like, you don't
That's
have to do,
true.
yeah, you don't have to do stuff by yourself. Like, find people who are going to help. I always tell people there are helpers out there. You just got to look for the helpers.
Hmm.
But when you isolate and you try to take it on by yourself, those thoughts become very intrusive, and they make you feel like you don't have any other outlet. So sometimes you need help and need an outlet for someone to talk to you to help to pull you out of that.
See, like I feel like I'm the isolation
You
king
are.
because yeah, yeah, I would shut
You and
everybody off.
Ashton.
I don't care. Like I would just sometimes I wake up like even to this day and like one day I wake up and I feel good. I'm happy. I don't know why. Just like I'm like, oh, it's a good day. I did this, I did that. And then some days I just wake up and I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody. My friends texting me, I don't want to answer it. I'm seeing this message, I don't want to, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to be like in my own space, like leave me alone. And I do it. I'm noticing like I've been doing it a lot this year, more than as the years go on. I've been doing it more and more because I used to be very, very social, but these days
Mhm.
I don't want to be that social. I don't want to be that outgoing guy anymore. That's what I feel like.
Well, I think the determining factor is, are you isolating or are you actually just liking to be by yourself? Because if I'm
Mm,
isolating, that means that I am purposely shutting people out
hmm.
so that I can, be in this like cocoon by myself. Like
Mm,
I purposely, but if I like to be by myself, it's not that I'm not going out. See, when I'm isolating, I don't even go out. Like, I purposely try to avoid people so that I can stay into this kind of shell. But when I just like to be by myself,
hmm.
sometimes I may go out if I'm feeling like it. Sometimes I may stay in. It really just
Okay.
depends on how you're feeling. And I think that that is the dividing factor of really supporting and really being in tune with our mental health. When I find myself isolating more often
Hmm.
than not, then I'm like, okay, there's something going on. Like, what's happening? But if
Hmm.
it's like, you know what, today I wake up and I'm not really feeling it, but maybe 2 days later I may be wanting to talk to people and I want to hang out. And I think that that's a part of growing. Like,
Okay.
I think I'm a social person, but also people drain me too. So there's times where I like being around people, but there's times where I don't want to talk to people. Like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to be social. I don't want to hang out or phone or answer text messages. But it's not that I'm like struggling. It's
Hmm.
just the fact that I just don't feel like it. And I think
Okay.
that's okay too.
Okay. So I guess I'm like a mix between both because sometimes I like being in my cocoon by myself. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine with that. And then on the flip side, I'd be like, oh man, I wouldn't mind having somebody, like a
Yeah.
female companion. Like, oh man, I'm lonely, blah blah. I need someone. And then the next day I snap out of it. I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like I don't mind being isolated. Like I can just do what I want. I don't got to worry about nobody. I'm cool. I'm cool with that. But my next question to you are what are some signs that you can see from a friend or someone that you know that you can like pick up on and be like, hey, this person, they need help or they need attention? Are there signs or are they just you can't you can't figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, isolation. So like
Mm-hmm.
they're just never coming out. They're never in the mood to hang out with you. Anytime you call, it's it's not they're never available because like they're seemingly just kind of isolating themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's because something has happened. So is there a traumatic event that's happened, some kind of grief, and you've noticed like their behavior change? You notice that their mood has really changed and not for the better. They're outside of their normal behaviors, their normal ways of expressing themselves. So yes, our moods fluctuate, but if you have a friend and they tend to be like pretty, chipper and happy, that's always been their demeanor, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you see a shift, I would question like, okay, what's going on? Like what's happening? Maybe they're irritable, so extremely irritable, angry, they're feeling tired and lack of energy. So every time you see them, they're just tired. They're always talking about they're tired. They don't have any energy. They're not sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
They're having though, or you see them excessively drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were a social drinker and now all you all they're doing is drinking. So maybe y'all go out and it's not just like a glass of wine. You see
Mm-hmm.
them taking like 5, 6 shots every time y'all go out.
Shots
You
of
know,
that yak.
so so see, like, but if that's not their normal pattern
Uh-huh.
of like drinking, I would question like, okay, what's happening? What's going on with them?
Mm-hmm.
And let's listen to what they're saying too. How are they talking about themselves? Are they talking about death? Are they talking about sharing feelings of like shame or guilt or feeling worthless? Things like that. Just really know. I think the number one sign is their change in behavior and their patterns,
Okay.
what they normally do. So just paying attention to those things. I know life is busy and it's hard sometimes to keep up with everybody, especially as we're getting older.
Right.
And we hear that sign of like check on your strong friend. And I always tell people it's not even check on your strong friend anymore. It's check on just check on your friends. Like
True.
not even because at this point there's so much shit that has happened in the last 2 years, especially here in the States. Like it's
Yeah.
so much stuff that has happened in the last 2 years that people are dealing with that you really just got to check in with people to make sure like, hey, you okay? Something I tell my clients to do and I try to do for myself is whenever somebody crosses my mind, even if I can't call them, let me just send them a text real quick. Like, hey, what
Mm.
about you? I can't, I know we haven't talked in a minute. I can't call you yet, but I just want to check in on you. And I think that at least opens up that line of communication because a lot of times people
True.
feel like they're by themselves.
That's dope. And you're right, because like just a phone call from a random person that you never heard from in a while, like that can change
Mhm.
your whole day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, for example, one of my friends, he left Korea. I can't remember the exact time. I know it's been like over like shit, probably been like over 10 years. And we're not on bad terms or nothing. Just like, he left, he's doing his thing in life. I'm doing my thing in life. So we never like actually conversated on the phone, but he actually called me on Facebook Messenger and he's like, yo, I like what you're doing with your podcast. And we had a very long conversation. And that's the first time we talked, but it felt good because that was like a good friend. And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, me doing the podcast, like we that linked us to talk again and we haven't talked in a while. And that was like, it was a good feeling to me.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, for some reason, I
Shout
don't
out to
know.
my boy Keezy.
I have this thing to where I always contact people at the right time,
Hmm.
like every single time. At this point, I'm like, it just is a gift because when people cross my mind, I'll reach out to them. They're like, man, I was really going through it. Like your message really helped me. Like sometimes I'll just send, at the beginning of the week, I'll just send some friends just like encouraging messages for the week. And it never fails. It's always like, I was really going through it. Your message really helped me. Or I'll like have a dream about somebody and
Hmm.
like I wake up and reach out to them and like, they were in need. I don't know what it is, but it's something that I've just leaned into. And it's just like, let me just reach out to people because you just never know what people need in that moment.
Hmm.
Not always tangible things. People, especially now, like, so many people are sick, so many people are dying. We're losing
Right.
so many people. And you don't know what that check-in does for people, because we go through so much in our like our little in isolation, that just to hear somebody was thinking about you and they reached out to you means a
Hmm.
lot.
I got to get better at that, like reaching out to people, because I won't reach out to a person. I'm just like, I'm stubborn, like all that. Like, I won't reach out. I'll think about it.
Really?
I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't feel like it.
Well, are you talking about somebody who you fell out with?
Oh, nah, like somebody that I fell out with, like I'm not gonna even try. Like I'm just that type of person. Like I'm not gonna even try to make it better. It is what it is. I don't care
Hmm.
to make it better. I'm talking about someone that I know. Like I should reach out to people that are friends more.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
I'm bad about that because I have a hard time like letting people go.
Mm.
And so like I am a hoarder of people. And I am like I'm a hoarder of people. I'm doing better with it. I'm doing better with it. But like I have really bad anxiety with like people. And so if like say we're cool and all of a sudden you stop talking to me, it
Hmm.
bothers shit out of me. And
Hmm.
so I am like, I'll like, are we good? Is everything
Oh.
okay? Like, because I can feel like when energy shifts, and that even if you're telling me things are okay, I can feel when that shift.
Oh, see. See,
And
that's a whole different that's okay.
I'm bad about it. Like it's weird because I've had friends do that. Like I had somebody who was like, we were cool, like we were really cool. Went to high school together. We weren't like besties or anything. We were friends,
Hmm.
and we reconnected because she had moved here to Georgia, and you know, we were cool. Something happened in her life. I ended up letting her stay with me. She
Hmm.
ended up moving, and like she stopped talking to me.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, what? What? Like till this day, don't even know what transpired. And but I say that to say like no bad blood, no beef, but I had to really get to a place where I had to let it go because that shit bothers me.
Okay,
And
so we're the same. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah,
we're the same with that, because if someone I know, or vice versa, a female that I'm talking to, if they cut me off, that's like my pet peeve. Like it bothers me, and I will keep texting that person, what's wrong?
yeah,
What did I do? And I'm same like you. Like I know when the energy is different, because the energy you give me at the beginning is the energy I expect you to give me the whole time. So when I
yeah,
see that energy change, I start questioning it. What's
yep,
wrong? What's wrong? And then people always play games. Nothing's wrong. We good. We
yep.
good. No, just be honest. What's wrong? But I don't
Like
know.
say
I
what
don't know
happened.
why people can't be honest with that. Like, yo, you did this, or I didn't like this. This was a messed up situation. People can't do that. I don't understand.
No, people, I don't know what that is. Like, my thing is just tell me. Even if you
Yeah.
tell me I'm a shitty friend and you don't want to be my friend no more, like, the shit's gonna hurt. It's not gonna be true because I'm a great friend. But,
Look at you. Look at you like, nah, that ain't true.
but I can do better with that. Now, I think it's different for guys, like for y'all, because I think women do that more. I've never necessarily had a guy like just kind of ghost and
Hmm.
not respond. I think women do that more to guys than guys do it to
Oh,
women.
yes. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. Yes.
I think so. Like I think it is. But you know what? Something I've been trying to do in my old age is to not ghost, but just communicate. Like, you know what, this isn't working. And or you know what,
Wow.
this isn't you're cool, but this just isn't like clicking. Like I intentionally do that to avoid the ghosting part because I feel like that's something that women do
Wow.
more.
You're very rare. It's very rare.
Well, listen, that's like a new
Oh,
thing.
okay. Well, hey, you need to tell these other females to get up on that new thing, because they
Because
are
it
they are disrespectful with that ghosting. They disrespectful with it.
I think you know what it is though. I think people don't want to be mean and they see it as mean, but confrontation and it is not necessarily a bad thing. Like me saying that we aren't aligned or we just aren't
Yeah.
connected that way is not necessarily a bad thing.
Because when you
Um,
don't give somebody an ending, then you got them wondering, they thinking like what they did, like what did
yeah,
I, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Now we'll share this. This is listen. So
All right, all right.
okay, so I had met this guy once. I met him on a dating site, and we had been talking. I really wasn't that pressed because I'm not really that pressed on dating sites.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't really that pressed. He was super pressed and was like, hey, let's meet up. It's like, huh, okay, that's cool. We had been talking and FaceTiming for like a week. So I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Well, we're gonna meet up. Long story short, he ghosted me, didn't even show up to the
Ooh.
place.
Ooh.
Didn't even show up, which was so weird because the whole like on my way there,
Mm-hmm.
he was like, oh, I'm on leaving the house, I'm on the way. Like even so much to I'm at the light.
Hold up. My man said he was at the light and he
At the
ghosted.
light about to
Oh
turn in.
man.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up leaving because he just was late. Like he was just late.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went back on Bumble, I saw he had like unmatched. I was like, oh, what was the point? What was the
Right.
reason? What
Why you playing
reason?
like that? What you
And so I feel like that's another layer of ghosting, but people just don't know how to do because that was first of all, that was crazy. Like,
right.
what? Like
Had you
what?
sitting there looking crazy.
I mean, I was there having drinks. I was chilling,
Okay.
but at the same time, it was just one of those things to where it was just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I say all that to say that people don't know how to. I mean, honestly, I don't know. He might have been trying to be funny. I don't know what the reason was for that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people just don't know how to communicate, and they make the assumptions for other people of how others are going to react without giving them the opportunity to actually react.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because I don't I I don't got a problem with like if I'm not messing with or if something's wrong, then I'm gonna tell the person, especially a female. I'll pick up the phone and I'm gonna tell them whether it hurts or not. Like I'm gonna tell you the
Yeah.
truth because I don't want to play games like that. But I don't. Maybe some people seem, or maybe some females see me as like intimidating. I don't,
They
I,
could.
I don't know. I'm always smiling. I'm a nice guy. I'm a cool, laid back dude. But maybe they like, oh man, this dude might go crazy if I tell him.
I mean, I think that it's necessarily not about you. It's more about them.
Mm,
We often internalize things about us when 90% of the time it's not even about you.
mm,
Like they don't know how to speak up. They don't
mm-hmm,
want to come off mean. They, whatever that is, it's them.
mm-hmm.
And that's a part of like the internalize because I like internalize a lot of things. And what I have to tell myself is like, okay, you know what? It's not even about if they didn't say it to you, it's not about you. That's a
Mm,
them. And we have to stop internalizing so many things when people didn't come to us and tell us. Like the fact that you ghosted and you didn't say anything to me, whatever the problem was, that's on you.
right. Or
For
just
you
immature, right?
Absolutely. Your maturity level, it's all of these things. And I know in therapy, I talk to people a lot about just communication, like being upfront and communicating. Like, what do you want? What are your needs? What telling people like when they're not meeting your needs.
Mm-hmm,
And it's okay to do that. As we grow, that's what we're supposed to do. Because how are you
right.
supposed to, be in relationship, not even just romantic relationships, but friendships with people, if I can't tell you what my expectations are or what my needs are?
Mm-hmm.
I expect you to know, and then when you don't know, I'm ghosting. Well, how did I expect you to meet something that you didn't know what it was?
Exactly. Like
So
how, Sway? How? You know?
right, yeah, it's rough out here.
Okay. 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 Ooh, I feel like I got a lot off my chest. Oh man.
Listen, it's rough out here in these streets.
It's
It really
rough. It's
is.
rough.
It's
Cause
it's people don't like people just. It could all be so simple.
it can, right? I think.
But people are complicated. We are complicated. We all are dealing. Think about it. Like you're with all the things that you're dealing with in your life,
Mm-hmm.
all the things I'm dealing with in my life. We got millions of people on this planet. Everybody is dealing with their stuff.
Right.
So then we're coming together with another person, still dealing with our stuff. And now we got to deal with each other's stuff. Like,
Right.
unless you have a level of maturity and you're in tune with yourself to be able to kind of figure that out, it's going to be overwhelming. And a lot of
Mm,
times when people get overwhelmed, they tap out because it's just only so much that you can deal
true.
with and take.
But you should. I feel like okay. We're kind of maybe we're not drifting off, but I feel like you should put all that in the front when you first meet somebody. Like, hey, this is what I've been through. This is what I'm dealing with. So when I act a certain way or do this, this is why. So you don't get too shocked. That's what I feel like. What do you
Say
think?
that one more time.
I feel like when you meet somebody, you should put all your issues or tell them what's wrong up front. So when something happens to you or you act a certain way, they already know what's up or why you're acting a certain way.
I mean, when you say up front, what's up front? Because sometimes that can scare people.
True. You're
Like
right. You're right.
how up front, I think there's levels. Like I think
Okay.
there's levels to what that looks like. So
Mm,
yeah, as a therapist, I'm always gonna tell you to be upfront about your stuff.
mm-hmm.
But I'm also gonna because that requires a level of vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And as a people, vulnerability is scary
Mm-hmm.
because it's me trusting you with my stuff and that you're going to hold it sacred and you're not going to drop it really. And so in order for me to get to a level of vulnerability, I have to have trust in you. And so you
Mm,
can't necessarily have trust right off the bat because
true.
people have to earn that trust. In order for me to be vulnerable and feel safe with you, I have to trust that you're going to not misuse it and not mishandle it. And so a lot of times I have clients who say they don't like being vulnerable. And my pushback is always, is it that you don't like being vulnerable or if you've been vulnerable with the wrong people?
Mm,
Because if you're vulnerable with the wrong people and they've misused it, then yes, you've learned that being vulnerable sucks and that people cannot be trusted. But if you give that to somebody who actually handles it, then you'll see that it's not the vulnerability piece, it's the trust piece.
talk that talk. That's what I'm talking. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I think I do that a lot. Well, I get I can't, I'm trying. You know, look at me. I'm trying to get some dating advice out of you,
What?
little sis. But not every girl, but I do that a lot with some girls I meet that I think like it's gonna be like a long relationship. I'll be like, hey, this is my past. This is what I've been through with previous relationships with females. So if I act a certain way, this is why. I want you to understand that. And some females, they be like, okay, I understand that. This is what happened in my past relationship. And then we have like that mutual agreement. And then some girls, they just scare them off, which you're right. Like you shouldn't be upfront. I guess you gotta like gauge it out who you can be upfront with.
Mhm,
Because some people
mhm,
they just get scared. They're like, oh nah, I can't deal with that. You already got you're already damaged. So
mhm.
I'm not trying to deal with that.
Yeah, and you have to be gentle with yourself, but you also have to know, when to lean in and when to lean back.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody is not a no, everybody's not worthy of access to you. And I
Mm,
think sometimes we give access too quickly or too much access too quickly. And
that's my problem.
that's what backfires. And so the example that I always use in therapy is think of it like a house, right? So you have different access points to your house, and you have different people have different access to different parts of your house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain people who I may talk to you in the garage. We still cool. We don't I don't
Mm.
speak, but I only talk to you in the garage because that is the your level of clearance, right?
Okay.
And so then you have some people who I might invite you, you might be able to come into my kitchen. So you're in the house, I'm comfortable with you, but this is the only area that I'm comfortable with you. So there's
Mm,
parameters of comfort level, right? Then you have people who give access to throughout the house because they have a little bit more trust. And then you have your sacred space, your room. Like I don't give everybody access to my room
mm,
because that's sacred. So if you've made it to the room, then you have a different level of clearance and access than other people do. But there's levels, and nothing's wrong with any of the levels. But I determine how much access you get and how close you get to me. And so when we start giving people access too quickly, we start to mistrust people in general. We start to feel like we cannot share our emotions with people because they're going to mishandle it. We feel like, we don't have anybody and we're by ourselves. And all of these things because we're doing too much too soon in that vulnerability piece without really activating the trust piece of it.
mm.
And so I really think that we have to, when we give too much too soon, because I'm the same way. Like I meat you today, we talking good, I might fall in love tomorrow. I'm a true Pisces. I am a true Pisces. Like I am going, oh, we met today, everything's going good. Let's get married tomorrow. Like
Oh
I'm all
no.
in. And I have to intentionally slow myself down
Mm-hmm.
because there have been times where I have given too much of myself too soon,
Mm-hmm.
or I've given too much of my vulnerability and been all in to the wrong person. And it's
Okay.
not that I think sometimes we think, oh, I did something wrong, something's wrong with me. No, that's just the way that I love. That's the way that I express myself. But
Mm-hmm.
it's learning to do it with the right people so that you don't overly, so you don't feel like you're like something's wrong with you, or that you aren't able to give that part of you. You just got to be more cautious with the people around you.
Mm. Oh, okay. Okay. I got you. Last thing I want to say, because we got like 2 minutes and I got to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
I could sit here and talk for hours about this. You already know that. So, like, as I was saying, like, I try to let a lot of females know, like, my past. On the flip side, I've always been that person, like, I don't show emotions. I'm like a brick wall. And I've had that complaint too. They're like, you don't show any emotions. I don't know what you're thinking. You never seem happy, but I be happy. I just don't show it on my face. I don't know. Like, like I had one female, she bought me a gift for my birthday. I was very excited, but I guess my face didn't show it. I was just like, oh, thank you. And she's like, you don't seem excited. And I'm like, damn, deep down inside, like, I'm really excited. I just don't know how to show it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Why you don't know how to show it?
I don't know.
I mean, I think that I think that sometimes it's also getting in tune with those emotions,
Hmm.
because when we're so far removed from our emotions, and I always take it back to, like, a lot of times in childhood, like when we think about like the Black community in general, when you're a child, you literally have two emotions: either you sad or you happy. And if you sad, you better figure out why you sad on your own. And so, because it's like you have no other reason but to be happy.
Ma, I say, fix your face.
Yeah, fix your face.
Yeah.
And so you learn to deal with those emotions on the inside. And I feel like we suppress so many of those emotions.
Mm,
Like we really learn, like, at an early age, like, okay, well, you know what? My feelings and stuff don't matter. But I'm supposed to just be happy. I don't
mm,
really necessarily know how to show any other kind of emotions. And there's so many different emotions to show.
true.
And I think that we have to kind of get in touch with that. But also the other side is everybody doesn't show happiness the same way.
Mm,
My happiness, I'm dramatic, but I'm, maybe up, jumping up and down, excited, all of those things. Your happiness may be just as I'm just me expressing like I'm happy,
right.
like smiling, me being happy. And so that is also, I think, a thing as well, because everybody doesn't grow up the same, everybody doesn't express emotions the same, and just making sure it's congruent throughout. If I'm happy, then being able to show happiness. What
All
does
right.
that look like for me?
True.
Being
True.
able to express that in a variety of different ways.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. I got like 30 seconds left. 30 seconds left. I want to thank you for coming on the pad podcast. I appreciate you.
Thanks for
We
having
definitely
me.
gonna have a part two. We definitely gonna have a part two.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited for this podcast journey. Love to be back. Y'all better like this episode because it was good.
All right. I'll holler at you.
All right,
All right.
bye.
Bye.